A very good evening to all of you. From my side, it's good afternoon, and to everybody who has joined this webinar, thank you so much for joining. And people I know that they are located in different parts of the world, so very warm good evening, good afternoon, good morning. So whatsoever is your time zone in your part, very good time according to it. So a couple of things I think we have also mentioned in the chat. Our team has mentioned that your PPTs, the one which I'll be sharing, and the recordings of the webinar will be shared with you just after this webinar on your registered email ID, the one with which you guys have registered. Second thing is, just in case your video quality is not clear enough, kindly increase or enhance the video quality of YouTube. And even that, if does not, it helps. So please don't get panic and don't start, typing on in the chat box that it's not clear. It's not. It's okay, fine, no problem. Because eventually, the slides will be shared with you. So what's important for that point in time would be that listening out to me. All right. So with this note, I'd like to take the opportunity to begin up with this webinar, which is scheduled on 10th of September 2022. The time here in Dubai is 2:30. So all those who doesn't know, I'm located at Dubai right now, and you all can see my name, Dr. Renu Mishra, and I'm working in the capacity of assistant professor here in Dubai, and I am a management trainer as well. All right, so that was me, and let me take you to the introduction about our company or the which with which I'm associated with. That is a research graduate. So a research graduate, as I found, fondly call it as, it's a one-stop solution to all the researchers out there who has any sort of problem, be it that you're not able to identify the topic with which you want to work on, you're not able to do the statistical analysis, you're not able to write the paper, you're not able to do the editing and all that stuff. Just, we are just a call away, or we are just a text away. Okay, because not necessarily that everybody who is a good researcher can actually document the paper in that manner only. Okay, but that doesn't makes you a bad researcher or so. So whatever your query is, whatever stops you in being a good researcher, where that's what you think, or in publishing your work, just consider us in your journey, and we're just a call or a text message away. All right, so as far as I told you that we're just a call or a text message away, so you can see the detail. The provided email ID is there for your service, the WhatsApp number is there, and you can visit us on the website as well. All right, so let me tell you about the flow of this webinar. It'll be a good, 70 to 90 minutes of a presentation, more or less, and then it'll be followed by your question and answers, which probably, goes around by 30 minutes or so. Am I audible to everybody? Just give me a quick yes, because Mr. Srinivas is not able to hear me out, and I am very loud in my voice. If I know, just if anybody can just quickly tell me that if I'm audible to everybody. Am I audible to everybody? Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shruti. Thank you so much, Mr. Patil. So it'll be this structure. You'll be having your my presentation, the recording, which I say that it's a two-way discussion rather than a presentation, and then it'll be followed by a question and answer session. And as I told you in the beginning only, that you'll be given your PPTs, your recordings, your certificates well in time on your registered email ID, just in case you have just glitches in your video or the flow going on, increase the video quality. All right, so that's the basic things for us to begin the seminar. And now let's get started. So as you all know that today we are going to learn about research paper. All right, so when it comes to research paper, I know it sounds so easy, it sounds so Mr. Srinivas, if it's not audible for you, I think there is some technical glitch at your end. Reason being, others are able to hear me out. So kindly check your connections. All right. So coming back to what we are talking about was that what is research paper? Basically, when I say research paper, there are a lot many things comes to my mind that it can be a report, it can be an article, it can be a something related to submission in journals and so on. Because being a researcher, being an academician, or being a PhD scholar, this is one search word which surrounds you all the time, which keeps hovering around your life, that we need to just publish the paper, and that pressure, I can really really associate with you, all of you, that the pressure of publishing a good research paper is too much, especially for a PhD scholar. That when your supervisor tells you, or it's a university guidelines, that by the end of year you need to have two paper published in a good journal or UGC care journal for an Indian, and for others the ADCB or your Scopus or Web of Science and so on. All right. So having said all that done, the question comes that when it comes to what is a research paper, there are a couple of perspectives which all of you must have come across, and I am not saying they are not right, or what will I show you that's only right. So basically you'll come across a varied degree of perceptions or a varied explanation when it comes to research paper, however, which I have listed it for you. Probably it fits in all those perspectives. So basically it is defined as that essay, which you probably write it down to explain your topic in detail. Okay, now when you say that in detail, so that detail maybe it just can be a literature based detail, or it can entail a statistical detail as well. Okay, so I'm not going into that review paper or research paper bifurcation. I'm just taking it as a general view. Okay, so here in the research paper when it comes, so firstly it is exactly, Mr. Suhas, it's a detailed writing, wherein your focus of attention is towards one topic, and you always give your own evaluation, your own interpretations, your own perspective. So that's what we call as a research paper. Now, when you talk about a research paper, you can have multiple sources of information. And today, in this digital era, trust me, you are loaded with information. It's just about filtering the right one. So you can have your books, you can have your articles, you can have the interviews, you can have the video interviews, the internet sites provided the authenticated one. All right. All these information you can access to. And also when you explain in a nutshell what is a research paper, so in that, firstly you talk about the information which you have gathered, then you analyze the data. So now that information I'm also replacing is at a data also. So that data can be your secondary data, that is the published one, the primary data which you collect one, irrespective, I'm not going into that debate. So the research paper talks about that data, analysis of data, what do you understand by their data, and what you want others to understand by that data. So that complete package is called as research paper. All right. Now this is about our understanding about research paper. All right. Now let's talk about further on research paper. So what you can see here, if just in case you're not able to see it also, is just an example of research paper, how does it looks. So don't get panic, it's not visible, it's not visible, just don't get into that. Okay, so further on to talk about what is a research paper, it's about that whatever you are talking about a topic, one aspect is based on the current aspect of the knowledge. Okay, there are a couple of papers, there are many papers rather, which talks about a particular topic and the knowledge associated with it at present, what's going on right now. Now having said that I do not mean that you do not write the research paper on the previous information available. It's not at all like that. All right, I'm just saying that research paper also summarizes about the information on the topic related to the current state of knowledge. Okay, also the research paper opens the horizons of understanding for the readers like you and me, or for other of concern, that what's going on in that topic related. It can be your healthcare, it can be your related to your engineering, management, pharmacy, fashion designing, history, literature, language, anything. All right. And basically the kind of data the author has collected for that research paper, how does it matters to us, what are the findings. Okay, so this is the background information about the research paper. Okay, now it comes why to write a research paper. Okay, now basically there can be a couple of reasons depending upon your profession, your area of interest. There can be couple of reasons, why do you want to write a research paper. Basically research paper in my opinion is that you choose so as to let the people of concern that this is what going on. Like for instance, I very clearly can relate to it. When the times of COVID just hit us, like in 2020, basically it started in 2019, but the world got enveloped in 2020. So there were, first of all, there were a situation of what is it happening. Okay, nothing was clear. But gradually when the lot of researches started happening, probably I think in every aspect COVID related researches happen. So where we were not able to find certain answers, in that case we switched our attention, our as in the academician, the policy makers, the researcher, we switched our attention towards the researches which are simultaneously going on. I remember very clearly a lot of conferences were taking place, especially, how COVID has influenced or impacted the teaching aspect, how COVID has changed or transformed the business world, like from in person to completely digital or online. So, a lot of researches were going on around the world. So, having said that, if there would have been no researches, then in that case our awareness, our knowledge related to what's happening where would have been very limited, or should I say that it would have been very less. Okay, so basically you write research papers so as to let others also know that's what's going on in that particular topic. Second thing, lot, it can be disagreed that definitely your research paper contributes towards your career, especially for the ones who are into academics. For them it's very important. So these are couple of reasons that why do we write a research paper. So no, you want to know about a new topic, you would like to share the knowledge. Definitely, see, it's not always that you want to have some points or some weightage into your CV, that's why you're writing a paper. No, it's not like that always. You would like to have some knowledge also. You have certain educational requirements. Like I said, I started my webinar by saying that many a times for the PhD scholar it's very important to have certain number of papers published. Okay, then definitely in your employment, it's I think it's one of the main criteria for people like us who are into academics to let their career progress or to get selected for a particular job. Like I have seen many portals of various I'll not name the universities, but various universities, they do ask that what are your number of publications and what all journals you have published your paper, in how many papers you were a co-author or main author, and all that detail, right? So basically, all in all, in today's time, sharing knowledge and strengthening your job aspects, your CV, for all that, research paper is very important. When it comes to PhD scholar, the importance is much more, because as the good number of papers you would have published in the journals of definitely of national or the international repute, it does contribute towards you securing a successful defense. Okay, so when you are defending your thesis, or when you are defending your research, these papers published, they just allow you to get an weightage, to does allow get you support to present that all these places or all these journals my study has already been published, or the the portions of my study has been published. Okay. Now, since I have said publish, okay, so how to get it, or why, or what's about it's publishing a research paper. See, many a times I have seen, and in fact I have met also a couple of people that writing a paper is one aspect, but when it comes to publishing the paper, it's also very important. See, Mr. Suhas, patents also, as what I have understood, your question is that if you're mentioning a patent done by you or received by you in your CV, definitely it's add weightage. Definitely it does. Okay. Now coming back to what I was discussing about was publishing a research paper. So see, it's very important that whenever you go for publishing papers, so it's very important that you have an idea of where you are publishing. Fine. Because a good journal or a good publishing house to get associated with, it definitely adds on to your academic promotion, to your chances of getting good credibility. You, many a time, the academicians get research grants also on the basis of good publishing they have placed. Okay. So basically publishing a research paper, it's like that motivation which is very important, and the entire process of writing of research paper gets fulfilled or gets completely achieving its objective when you get a paper published at a good, authenticated and a reputable place. Okay. Now there are a couple of things which I would like to tell you before I move it with getting ready with the data. When you are writing a research paper, when while you are considering for publishing the research paper, it's very important to keep a check that where you are publishing. Okay. Many a times I have seen most of the scholars, I'm saying, for the ones who are doing PhD. Okay. They get generally nervous, or they don't get a good place to publish the paper, and they are confused because if their supervisor is helping with it, well and good, nothing like that. If it's not, then they generally get confused where to go, which journal to seek for, which journal to get the paper published, and all that stuff. My suggestion would be, wherever you are sharing your work, okay, make sure it's a good one. All right. Why? Because you are sharing your hard work with anybody else. So whatever journal you are considering, kindly check the authentication of it very clearly. Okay. Now, coming back to our research paper. Now, when you are writing a research paper, it's very important to have data with you. Now, secondary or primary, it's not the question where we are going on. But when you are talking about a research paper, yes, the data is very important. There is nothing on my screen right now, guys, so it's okay. Screen is not blurred because there is nothing on my screen. Okay. So please, don't worry. Okay. Now let's talk about getting ready with the data. These are couple of things which I think I should tell you guys. Reason being that I have seen lot of researchers getting confused. Now why it happens? What happens is, kindly improve your video quality, and even if it's not clear, then kindly listen to me. Don't worry, you'll get the recording and you'll get the PPTs. Don't worry. Okay. What I have seen in generally in majority of the cases, that when you are working on a research paper, before I move ahead, sorry, I'm interrupting, all those who have logged in from the phone, they might can get the issue. Okay. Kindly improve, because the device from which you are logging in also creates an impact on the visibility of the screen. Now let me come back. So I have seen many scholars that whenever we are, in fact I was also sailing in the same boat. So when we are working on a research paper, so what happens is that we keep on saving the work. Okay, fine, this article, because this time, the current times, we are mostly on our what do you say, online thing, and we are finding the papers online, unless, when we were working on a literature paper, we were used to visit physical libraries. So basically, yes. So when you are working on a research paper in general, so in order to conduct the literature, you keep on saving, and eventually your desktop screen, your laptop screen looks like a complete mess. Okay, it's look like a complete mess, because when you are saving the papers into PDF or in any other file format, 80% of people like us, we do not change the name of the file. Sometimes it gets saved with 1859.pdf dot something like this, right? We do not change the name of the file. We do not do this what do you say, that hard work of changing that file in that point in time. Okay, so what happens is our entire data get messed up. We do not try to work it on, but that's a crime. Actually, that's a crime. Why I'm saying so? Because we fall into our own traps. Okay, my suggestion is, please sort your data into file and folders. File and folders, as in, keep similar topic or similar variables or similar the research methodology which you are following, uh, papers or data, into separate folders, into folders which has same kind of data. That's what is important for you to follow. Another thing is that it's for you, that you can, some of the suggestion which I have made, you can go ahead also, that date, year, project name, the instrument, or if you have any other way for yourself to save your work, please do so, because it is actually a very time consuming activity in writing a paper or writing a thesis of sorting out the data. It is very, very time consuming. You don't realize that how often we spend our days and nights, to sort out the data. So please, whenever you have the data, please make it a habit that you synchronizes, you sort it, you name the data, so that whenever you would like to access it once again, you are ready with it. Okay, so you can organize the data something like this. As this is just an example for your sake, you can follow any other way also. It's just about finding the right kind of data at the right time. It's just about that. It's not like the way I'm telling you, you need to hard and fast follow that only. No, no, it's not like that. You can follow the way you would like to also. Is but the most important thing is to organize, sort it out. Okay, now, question comes, writing a single or a multiple paper. See, once you have all the data, you're organized, you have a lot of figures or the tables which have come. So basically, it's, you can get an idea once your data is organized, once you know that this is my findings, or this is the kind of figures I'm coming out with, these are the kind of tables I'm coming out with, then after that organizing of the data is done, then on the basis of the data in front of you, you can get an idea that out of this data, can I come across with one paper or multiple papers? If you have not thought of writing any particular paper in starting, many a times what happen is that we are working on one paper, but by the end of the day, we many a times we come across with a situation that we have got enough data with us, and we can write a review paper also. We have got enough literature review on this. We can write a review paper also. In that case, now you are the best judge for your data. Okay, along with your supervisor, this is for the scholars, along with the supervisor, you can have a distinction between that, which data I can use in one paper and the another data or the remaining data in another paper. Make sure there is no mismatch, or there is no overlap of the data, that some figures are here and the related other figures are in their paper, because you have not paying attention in categorizing the data. So it's mainly depends upon the author, because the data which has been worked upon by, the data which has been collected by, it's by you. Okay, so how much of information, let's say many a times what happen is that you have got enough literature but you're working on a quantitative paper, so in that you do not require actually much of literature at time, and you are stressing up more on the statistical analysis, and you are left with too much of literature, and then you can say think of, okay fine, on the same topic I can go ahead with a review paper as well, I can go ahead with a literature paper as well. So it's up to you, you are the best judge who can decide that which particular data would be used in how many papers, or not necessarily all the time you'll be having multiple papers, you can go ahead with a single paper as well. Okay, now it's time to talk about preparing scientific argument to write research paper. Okay, how do you write the arguments? Basically, how you are, showing your data, analyzing your data, and you're presenting in front of your audiences, in front of your readers. So for that, couple of things you need to make sure that you have identified the patterns, the repeated themes in your data. Okay, whatever point, whatever important point is associated with each figure, kindly make that important point visible. Fine, wherever you feel like that there are some some interconnections which I can show that, okay fine, this one variable has an positive impact or positive influence on another one, thereby certain changes can be visible, and so on. Okay, all these things should be highlighted by you, should be presented in such a way by you that the reader make sense of it. Okay, now here comes the initial draft. Now what I've told you is I have everything with me. I have my data sorted. My details are with me. I have analyzed my data. So many numbers of figures are there with me. You know, now it comes to get that thing into action. Okay, till now, what we have done is the homework for writing a research paper. We have not yet started writing it. It's just that we need to get our folders sorted. We have files sorted. We have tables in place. We have worked upon the statistical analysis on the data. Now it comes to actually document the paper. So with this, we will first develop the first draft or the initial draft. Everybody will get the recording and the PPT. Don't worry. Okay, so when we talk about the initial draft is about, it's not the final version, let me tell you. Okay, it's not the final version. Here what you do is you just write freehand, with freehand. Okay, you are not filtering any information. Okay, you are talking about your topic, you are explaining your topic, why did you choose it, the gaps of it. You may choose to write the introduction first, the background later, the literature review later. You can just provide an outline to the paper, that what all major subheadings I would like to see into my paper. Just write it. Okay, like I'll tell you how do I process, or how do I prepare a the research paper draft. What I do is I first highlight the points which I want to write in my paper. It can be my subheading, it can be my main heading. For example, in my main headings, I have an abstract to prepare, that also I'll tell. I have an introduction, I have a little bit about the literature, then I'll talk my research methodology, then my finding and interpretation, and conclusion and implications. Okay, now fine. These are the these are the main headings which I jot down first, just the heading, not the internal content of it. I don't just first start with this. Then what I do is I start writing my methodology first. Because, in my opinion, and now I'm not saying that for everyone you have to do like this. What I'm telling you is, the way I follow. So, research methodology, because in my opinion, somehow I have that perception that, research methodology does not take much of time. I just quickly finish it. What I do is I structure my literature at last, because in my opinion it takes a lot of time. So I work on the rest of the section first, and literature review and last, and then I club every section together. So every section is in sub the different parts, and then I put it on together, like, like the way we put it in a platter. So we decide what do we want to eat and then put it in a plate. It's like that. However, once every section is put in into one paper or the one document, then I establish the connectors between them, so that it does not look like that, actually the different sections are written separately and there is no connection. Okay, so this is the way I follow. So this is the way you need to prepare your initial draft. Now, one point I would like to say, that many times I have seen the scholars that uh, they think that why it is important to write initial draft. It's a waste of time, and it's a double time we are incurring on first initial draft and the final paper. But it does make sense. Reason being, if you does not have your plot in hand, that what you want to write in your paper, sometimes you end up writing long literature. Sometimes you do not have points to add in conclusion. Sometimes you do not know how and where to start the research methodology. And many a times I have seen that you miss out on the important subheadings or the headings. So the suggestion from my side would be to prepare a blueprint of the paper, with which is just you need to follow it. So once that blueprint or once this draft is ready with you, then you can filter the information you want, and filter the information you would like to elaborate on. All these things can be worked upon later. Okay, so there are a couple of things which which you can move ahead when you are talking about initial draft of the paper. So just write. Okay, or and just focus on that, how much content you are writing, as I told you. Okay, and nothing is useless right now. So don't think that I no, no, it's not good to write it now. It is, just write it, just write it. Filtering would be done when we will be finalizing the paper. Now, if you have too much of data, it's always easy to filter out of it. Now, if you will be very choosy right in writing the initial draft of the paper, you'll be having short of words to complete the paper. That's also happened. So give yourself a free hand to draft the initial first look of your paper. Okay, all right. Now comes the literature analysis of the research paper. Okay, now I'm taking the sections of it. Okay, out of it, the literature analysis of the research paper is very important. Is I am taking any research paper. So analysis. So sorry, I think there was a technical glitch. So when you talk about the literature analysis of the research paper, you need to be very clear that what topic you're working on. Okay. Now I'm saying you need to be very clear on the topic you're working on. I'm not saying exact title. Okay. Now, once you know that your topic, then you need to work on the papers accordingly. Search through the literature. Okay, now search the literature. Sometimes what happen is I'm not getting enough literature. So what you have to do, that whatever article, whatever papers you are searching on, the references of those paper also serve as the source of literature for you. One particular article, you think that okay, fine, this is important for my literature, this can be included in my literature. So all that references provided by that author can also be a very important source for you for your own literature. Okay, so kindly focus on the topic which you have. Do not get deviate. There will be many chances where you think that, okay, fine, I'm not getting right kind of literature. Give yourself enough time. Okay. Now, here I think that the initial draft which you have formulated, the subheadings of it, the subheading, I'll focus on this, I'll focus on, just keep a reference of that while talking or while focusing on your literature. Okay, fine, this variable, I need to talk about this variable. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about it. Or you can also have that once you are done with your literature, review and analysis is done, then also you can go ahead with the initial draft of the paper. Then also you can go ahead with that. Okay, now how a good quality literature review looks like. First of all, nobody on this planet is interested in reading pages of literature review of your study. Okay, so always make sure that your literature review is comprehensive enough. Don't I have read many papers, they are just just in order to increase the word count. They are just stretching out the literature review because that's the only section of your research paper where you can enhance and increase the number of word count according to the given guidelines. But that does not make a point of you adding unnecessary information. Please do not do so. Okay. Second thing is that always make sure that your literature review is being extracted from sources or references which are, up to date or relevant, I would say that. There are a couple of topics which have quality literature from quite old sources. Good to go. Take them, no problem. But do not always rely on very old literature. Again, I'm saying many topics have literature which can be drawn from the previous older resources. I'm not saying about them, but I'm talking about the other of them, wherein you have some recent literature. Okay, go for that. Plagiarism should be avoided. And what is plagiarism? We'll be talking about it. It should be avoided completely. And mind you, literature section is that section which gives you maximum plagiarism, because that's the section wherein you are adopting from somebody else's work. Okay, proper references should be done. I'm sure it is aware by everyone. Now, couple of times I have seen that you have researched the literature, you have given in-text citation, like the citation is given within the text, but when I'm going to look for the final references, the complete citation, I'm not able to find it. Keep a check on that aspect as well. Don't just in order to write the literature, miss out on these things, because this way the quality of the literature review will be diluted. Okay. Now comes how to structure literature review. Yes, Mr. Srinivas, actually, when you talk about the sequences of a topic covered in a paper or the nature of a research paper, varies, depends upon the topic to topic. But what I am telling you is the structure of the research paper, the content of the research paper, which can be adopted universally. Okay, which can be adopted universally. You can add on, you can delete on, it's up to you, as you said, on the basis of the nature of the research paper. Okay, but what I am telling you is by keeping the general audience in mind. All right. Okay, now coming back to the structuring of a literature review. So basically, when you're writing your literature review, so it's easy to divide your literature review in three sections. Firstly, you can begin by talking about the introduction. Now, where you are talking about the introduction, you need to talk about your topic. See, always assume that your audience does not know about the topic you have chosen. So, it's your responsibility to make them aware about the topic through the literature review. You need to make them familiar with your topic. You need to make them aware about the topic. Okay, Let me just quickly take a query. Mr. Ramprasad, see, up to 7 to 10 years is good to go. Beyond that, because these days research has been a lot of been focused upon, and a lot of online sources are also available. So up to 7 to 10 years is okay, good to go. However, if your topic is such where you do not have any relevant literature during this time period, you can go ahead with the older one also. However, 5 to 7, 7 to 10 is good to go with. Okay. Mr. Sohail, see, I will not be able to tell you that a good research paper should be how many pages. Reason being, when you are focusing on the publishing of the paper, the word count is always mentioned. So, depending upon that word count, your number of pages are decided. Now, I'm sure many of you must be knowing like there are the best PhD thesis is of 7 pages. So, you can imagine, it's not about the number of pages, it's about the content of it. However, when you say about number of pages, it's about the guidelines with the journal with which you are planning to publish it. Okay. Now coming back to the introduction of the literature, so you need to tell about the topic to the audience. You need to tell them that why talking about this topic is relevant in current times, how it is important to have a necessary information on this topic, and basically you are just making your audience comfortable related to your topic. Okay. So this will happen into your introduction part of the literature review. Then comes the main body of the literature, wherein you are talking about your theories, your backgrounds, the different viewpoints of different authors, the different definitions which has been given by the authors, and so on. That all will come into your main body of your literature review. Now, Mr. Satish has a question. Can I mention the review articles in my paper? Is it see, if you are taking the literature from any source, it's important to mention. Yeah, it's important. Miss Moni, I've just answered this question that it depends upon where you are planning to publish your paper numbers. Yes, see, Miss Pooja, secondary data is about your literature, right? And that's what we are talking about now. Support my research paper, basically, if I'm getting your question right, is a good research paper is the one wherein you have a healthy mix of both the kinds of data. Okay. Basically your literature supports the data which you are focusing on with the help of theories, with the help of previous researches. Okay. And your primary data gives it the logical reasoning for whatever you are trying to convey, or the statistical logic for your paper. So a healthy mix of both the kinds of data always gives body to your research paper. Dr. Tripathi, we put the research gap in the conclusion part. That's what I was about to talk about. That main argument and disagreements, basically, it also envelopes the gap. Coming back to the conclusion part of the literature, and then I'll come back to all of your questions. Now, main body is done, introduction is done. Now, when you talk about the conclusion of literature review, here you would talk about your gap, that why it is needed to study about this particular topic or the title. And then you will talk about the overall perspective, which is your perspective. Then you would definitely you know give your perception, your perspective on the literature review of the topic which you are considering. Okay, now it's time to talk about how to organize a literature review, because literature review is that portion of the research paper which gives you an access to, I mean, information, loaded with information. Okay, loaded with information. So, how you need to organize this literature review? So, primarily, when you talk about, so it can be either by chronology of events. So, if you are basically focusing on an evolution topic, like say, for example, right, what happened when, then followed by which event, then followed by which event, then it's important to focus on the chronology of events when it comes to literature review. There is another one by publication. You can follow the publication, that this author talks about this, and a further author added couple of more variables, then they added this variable, and so on. Another one is methodological. Here you are talking about the particular methodologies, or different kind of methodologies which is being used on the same topic by different authors. Now, the one which I prefer and I suggest always, that always go for the, or not, I would not say always, depends upon the topic, but I always prefer to go for the organizing literature review by the flow of my variables. Okay, the way I'm talking about the variables, so I organize my literature review around my variables. Okay, all right. Now comes that how you manage the literature, because see, there are a lot of references which needs to be done, lot of because you can't miss on the in-text citation, you can't miss on the in-text citation. It's very important to keep a check on the referencing part. So you can use the softwares like EndNote, Zotero, Mendeley. So basically they helps you to keep your literature managed. So whatever literature you are accessing to, for example, you are using Mendeley, so whatever literature you are accessing to, it will keep a record of it, and then you can simply transfer it into your Word document. Now comes another one, is the next aspect of your research paper is selecting a research title. Now, don't think that we have talked about literature review, now we are talking about selecting a research title. So basically I'm not telling you any in any particular chronological order. Okay, what I'm saying you is, till now we have talked about the topic, now we are talking about the title. There is a difference. Title is that name of your study which you have given to your work, by which your work would be identified. So obviously anything which is interesting, anything which catch on the intention of the audience will be more popular or would be more read across by the audiences, right? Similarly, your title should be, it should be creative. Definitely, I firmly believe that your title should be creative. Alongside, your content of the study should be reflected through your title. It's very important. Like your keywords should be reflected, your important note or theme of the paper should be reflected through your research title. Okay. Now, you can frame your research title on the basis of three aspects. What is the purpose of your research, the kind of research you're using, and the method you are using. You can frame your title on either of three, all three. Now, keep a check on the length of the title also. Don't go for a very lengthy title. Do not go for a very short title as well. Okay. Now, there are a couple of factors which all of you should keep in mind when it comes to drafting out your title. Keep a check on the word limit, as I told you. It should not be too lengthy or too small. 16 or less word is okay. No abbreviation like etc and symbol. Don't go that. Don't go for that in your title. Kindly include your keywords in your title. Now, what is the importance of these keywords? Because whosoever is looking for your paper will be looking with the help of the keywords. These keywords will help the audiences, the readers, to locate your paper more easily. Okay, so it's very important for you to list down the keywords carefully, which keyword would be included in the title, because your paper will come to me or will come to any other author when I'm typing the keyword, and if there is no keyword in your title, how will I reach to your paper, right? So it's very important that your keyword should be there in the title. Okay. And another last point which I have listed down for you is that how to, this is a very common confusion, so I thought of mentioning it. The first word is always capital. That's very sure. You can also do that. You can use capital letter for each of the word except the functional words like the, a, and it. Okay, like for example, the impact of so and so. So the t of the would be capital, I of impact would be capital, but o or of is will be small. So functional words, the first letter of these words can be kept small, or you can follow first letter can be capital, rest running. That's also. Another thing is that if you are adding any subtitle, like you're using colon and then you're using a study conducted on this review paper, so the first letter after your colon would also be capital. Okay, so these things needs to be kept in mind, and they are just generally been waived off. So there are a couple of example I have listed down for you. Like for example, you have one example like drug XYZ induces muscular contraction in Acanthina fulcia snails. So avoid using. Now this is a better example of a title, but this is too much of detail, or it is too long or too stretched out for a title to be, although it is giving the same kind of information which the previous one is giving. Okay, so these are the two examples for the, especially for the management students who are here. One example I've given for you, that is assessing the impact of customer lifestyle segmentation on their purchase behavior, a case study of Delhi NCR. Okay, now what I have chosen, the style of writing it is of just using this capital A. Rest all is in running letters. Just after hyphen, I've used it the first letter A again, all in running. This you obviously know that it's noun, so it has to become in capital letters. Okay, so these are just couple of examples for how a title can look like. Okay, now let's talk about the process of research paper writing. Your literature review is done. You have got your title. Your initial draft is done. Now let's get and enter into real actions. So the first section is your introduction. Now here I will tell you, introduction acts as the deciding factor for your paper to be a success or a failure for a reader. Now, what I meant to be by this is how your paper is going to get the attention of your reader. The first couple of lines of an introduction decides that. So here you need to set a basis of the topic. You need to set a platform of your topic for your reader. What are the key goals of the topic are? Why introduction is important? Firstly, it develops a background in the reader's mind that what this author is talking about. Okay, now when you talk about the background of the research, is about that mentioning couple of important research, or mention couple of important information happened in the past, or happened in the past researches, and it is connected to your topic, or it can give weightage to your topic, or it is important and it is related to your topic. So it's very important. So that is important aspect of your introduction part. Another is that you need to give an overview of your own paper, like what are the expected findings of your paper, what exactly the problem which you are studying in your paper. Okay, why you chose to study this paper, and so on. So basically introduction is, as the name suggests, is introducing your paper to the reader. Okay, now how do you introduce the topic, why it is important, and what is the topic is all about. Now, if I assume that I'm writing a paper on customer segmentation, if I assume, oh, my reader knows about customer segmentation, then I'm committing a mistake. no matter who is reading my paper or who not, no matter who, even a big professor of marketing is reading my paper, I can't assume that my reader would be knowing about the topic of my research. It's my research ethical duty to let him or her know and aware about my research topic. Okay, so I basically suggest every time that your opening statements, as I told you, that the couple of statements with which you start your introduction decides the success or a failure of your topic. So that should be very strong, and the idea that what you're going to talk about throughout the paper should be very well clear from those couple of statements. Okay, and it's also important for you to make sure that in your introduction you are bringing out some new interesting topic, because all of you know that even if it comes to us, a boring paper would you we will not like to go ahead with, right? So it's up to you how you actually make your paper interesting for others. Okay, now comes another aspect of your introduction, that is background of study, which takes an important place in your introduction. So, background of study, as I told you, that how and what kind of research has happened related to your topic in the past. Okay, in this you are also addressing the problem which you have chosen, and also when you're talking about a problem you need to give the supporting literature for that, and that comes into background of study. Why actually it's a problem, why do you think that it is a problem wherein you need to study this topic? Okay, so basically, you need to focus that what kind of arguments, what kind of discussions have been taken place in the past related to your study. Now, also this is one aspect, that is establishing the research problems. Okay, now this will also come into your introduction, that where you are introducing the reader that what they can expect from the paper when it comes to in terms of research problem. That I've just given a couple of examples for you, that what kind of problem we are studying. Okay, here another aspect is research objectives. Okay, that what exactly the reader can expect the paper to deliver. Similarly, for the hypotheses are those assumptions which are established to identify the relationship between two variables. Okay, this is your hypothesis. Now, another aspect in your paper is your research methods, which holds a very important place. And generally, when your paper is being assessed by a reviewer for journal publication, research methods and its explanation plays a major role for the rejection and your acceptance of the research paper. Okay, so let's first have a look what is research method. Research method basically talks about that strategy or that way with which you have collected the data, analyzed the data, and interpret the data for your own topic. Okay, what kind of research you have done in order to conduct your study, every detail will be there in the research method section. Okay, now there are a couple of references which I have given between two very popular methods of research, quantitative and qualitative. So I have given a detailed explanation on this, that what is exactly quantitative and qualitative, what kind of data collection methods you can choose while opting out either of the research methods, what are the best situations possible where you should employ either of the method, how you do the analysis, and the examples also. Okay, now why I'm saying so, because all these details, whatever I have done till here, till analysis, this will be a part of your research methods. When you are explaining the research methods of your paper, all these information holds a very important part. Okay, now going ahead with the method section, how do you write the method section? Basically, whatever method you have chosen for your research paper, your method section will talk about that. Okay, you can have the help of flowcharts, tables, pie charts, diagrams. You can make use of that. It's also important to support, I would personally say that it's also important to support your data with the visual presentation, because it gives the more clarity to the reader or to the reviewer to understand your research methods. Okay, now there are a couple of do's and don'ts for this research section, research method section. Now, I have seen many a times that, first I'll focus on don'ts, then I'll come back to do's. I've seen many a times that, just in order to elaborate the word count, or I don't know what's the reason of that research scholar to go for that much of explanation, that they explain the research methods in extreme details. Extreme details. Why, I don't know. So I would suggest that kindly don't do that. When it's a well known research, and you know that, it's so couple of information about that method would be okay. Just to increase the word count, I would not suggest to stretch on the method. Don't do that. You are not mentioning any pros and cons of other methods also into your method section. You are justifying just yours. That is bad or that is good, you're not supposed to do that. And keep a check on the word count of the research methods. Generally 30% of your total length of the research paper is for the method section. Okay, now what are the do's of the method section? Kindly just don't haphazardly put your research method section. Follow an order: data collection, which method you are using, data collection, tool, data analysis, and so there has to be a proper way, proper flow. And your research method section talks loudly about your variable. Make sure that you do that. Another very important part of this section is, which is a concern of many university, or I think all the university around the globe, is ethics of the research. So whatever data collection tool you are using, whatever respondents you are involving in your research, everything should be ethically proved. Okay, and needless to say, your statistical analysis should be elaborated. Now many paper I have seen, the researcher would use SPSS to perform the analysis. Now that's the software which you will use to perform the analysis, but on SPSS, which test you will employ, that nobody talks about. Main is to mention the test which you will use to analyze the paper or to data. We will use SPSS, that's okay, fine, that's the software you was mentioning, but which test you will use, that. And also, if you think that you need to justify your data collection tool or data analysis to test, kindly do so. Okay, all right. Now coming back, once your methods are done, once your data is analyzed, now it's time to go for the results. See, results should be very importantly paid attention to, because here till now, if your reader has reached till research method section, that means the reader is eagerly looking for the result section as well. Okay, so your result section should not be a mess. It should be properly arranged. It should be properly sequenced. Okay, now when I say sequenced, what I meant by it is, make sure whatever research objectives you have set, your research reflects, your result section reflects the answer of each objectives. It's not like that, first you have given the results for the objective 3, then you're talking about objective 1. No, no, it's not like that. Follow a logical order, okay? And don't assume, as I already told you, don't assume that this is clear from the table, this is clear from the figure, the audience will understand on its own. No, please don't do that, okay? You need to present the interpretation that what exactly this table, what exactly this analysis means for you, this should be there, okay? Now here is basically in results section, you are giving the answers to the research questions which you have listed down. Now, what is to be included in the results section is your tables, your charts, your graph, your meaning. What exactly this, like this value, for example, is p value is so so so. So, what exactly this p value means? That will be explained in your results section. Okay. Don't assume anything, definitely. Keep the list of your research section and the data corresponding to each research question and each research objectives. Okay. And also, any information that does not present the direct findings or the outcomes of the study should be left out this section. So basically, here you are relating the data with the interpretation. Dr. Patania, basically, I think this is the universal problem of majority of the researchers at which method of analysis to go for, right? Now comes the next section of your paper, that is discussion section. It is very important. Rather, I consider it is one of the most important section of your paper. Now, maybe your reader is not an avid researcher. He or she is not able to understand those figures, those flow charts. Even she will not understand the results which you have said that it is this particular variable is a control variable, or so and so impact and so influence has been showcased. But this concern is sorted when you're coming on to the discussion section. Now, here you are actually explaining the interpretation for the general understanding of the reader. You are, giving the relevance of your topic chosen. You are detailing the answers of the research questions. You are simplifying the answer of your research questions. And in a nutshell, basically, you are letting your reader understands the relevance of the study, the results interpretation of the study in a simple language. That if I mean that p value is this variable cause this variation, so what exactly it means for me? It means, for instance, customer segmentation has a positive impact on sales. That means if my organization is doing customer segmentation properly, my sales will increase. So this is what means to me. Customer segmentation sorted, sales will increase. This kind of approach should be followed by in your discussion section. Okay, that how you're the problem chosen by the researcher in the onset of the paper is sorted out, and how the solution has been given is been discussed in a layman language. When I say layman language, it does not literally mean a very basic thing. Layman language for the researchers, that means that majority of us can understand it. Okay, that comes in your discussion section. Four key aspects you can keep a check on your discussion action: interpretation. So but exactly as I told you, what this values means to me, what this positive or negative influence means for me, as in for a general reader. Why the results matter. Now I have showcased these results. Now, why it is important for me to focus on these results? What is going to happen to the theory or to the practical analyze, right? So this will come into implications. Very important aspect here to focus is on limitation, right? I generally have seen that researchers don't talk about elaborated limitations, needless to do so, but don't even write that due to the scarcity of time researcher could not conduct the primary research properly. Such kind of limitation does not make sense. That paucity of time, this is a very often heard limitation. What were you doing if you do not have time, right? So limitations should speak that what exactly the results which have been given by you will not tell you. So if you are expecting, like if customer segmentation is imposing a positive influence on sales, okay, with that I can definitely aspect the attitude of the customers, personality of the customers, okay, I can keep a check on that. But how long or after how long my product would need a development, that probably I may not get with those results. For that I need to have a separate research. So limitations should speak in this. And lastly but not the least, that is recommendation, because you as a researcher may not be able to cover everything related to your topic. So there are certain things which you may recommend for the future researchers to go. Now here I would like to have a tip. If you have drafted your limitations properly, then you can draft out the recommendations out of those limitations only. Just a tip, okay? If you have write down your limitations smartly and rightly, okay. Now then comes your key findings, summarizing them. What exactly your research paper has to tell. So there are certain examples with which you can begin your key findings, or with which you can start your paragraph, or which we can you can start on your, you know, section. Now then another aspect of your study is implications. Now every research paper need to have some implication, not as a subsection or a section in your paper, like as I told you that, needless to have that every paper has an implication section, not importantly, okay. But if you are writing the section in your paper, you should know what is implication. Now implication basically is that importance, that how your paper is actually important, either for organizations or for your policies, or for the society, or for the community. That is how your paper is important, like as in how the findings of the paper is important, okay. Now there are two kind of implication, practical and theoretical. When I said practical, so basically it is more related to the usage of the findings of your paper in the organizational context, okay. Theoretical implication is, let's say for example, what are your contribution towards the theory. For example, you are working on a particular theory of a previous researcher, and he or she has given six variables. On the basis of your own research, you have added seventh variable as well. So that is your implication, theoretical implication of the research findings of your research, okay. Now, the another section of your paper is conclusion. So, in that, first is restate your paper. Okay. Second is summarize the main points. Third is draw to close. Now, before I move ahead, always keep this thing into your mind that do not introduce any new point in conclusion. Don't do that. Okay. So just you have to do is restate your paper. Whatever you have started with, you need to restate it. Summarize your main points. So whatever main highlights of your paper is, mention that and then conclude it. Okay. So these things needs to be focus on. That is what you want to tell to your reader. Say it differently with, because you in the introduction part also you have done the same. Now similar things but in different language. Okay. Now you have to condense your main points, restate them, because in research and in your discussion also you have said this. Now again you have to rephrase it. Then make it a final observation called concluding statement. It's this. Now this is the last impression on your reader which you can leave through your paper. Okay, because many a times what happen is reader generally comes directly through your research findings and conclusion, that what exactly the author needs to say. Okay, now I'll talk about abstract also. Now, see, it's very important to keep a knowledge base on abstract also, because your journal they generally ask for the abstract. That send us an abstract. On the basis of the quality of your abstract, your paper gets approved or rejected for the conferences also. So basically, it's a mini form of your paper in which you generally write about your introduction, your methods. So whenever you're writing a abstract, make sure that your research methodology is slightly elaborated. Okay, now keep a check on the word count also which is being given for your abstract. You talk about your results discussion. Okay, now these are the main points you need to focus on your abstract. Now there is another method of drafting the abstract, because generally the submission platform wherein you are submitting your abstract, they give you the guideline how to write your abstract. So many a times they ask you to write abstract in separate subheadings, like background, results, findings, discussions, conclusion. So, like one of the paper which I submitted, they asked all these subheadings for the abstract to be submitted to them. And to my surprise, generally the abstract length it is like 500, 550 generally. The paper which I'm talking about, they asked about 2,000 words of abstract. Okay, so abstract generally, if they have give clearly asked you that you need to have these subsections in your abstract, go for that. If not, then follow this pattern. Okay, all right. Now comes your paper is done, written part is done. Now it is the final touch to your paper. That comes for editing. In editing, you check your spelling check, because no matter how good your data analysis is, how good primary research you have done and so on, but you have not written it properly in terms of grammatical errors, in terms of spelling checks, that definitely creates a negative impact on the quality of your paper. It leaves a negative impression. Okay, so where are all the punctuations needs to be placed, where all or the, and this can be one of the reason for the rejection of your paper as well. Okay, so editing takes care of all these things for your paper. Now coming to very important aspect of your research writing journey, that is plagiarism. Now plagiarism is basically, all of you understand that, using somebody else's information, knowledge, language, idea, but we are not acknowledging their sources. Okay, so if you copy the content but you mention the source, it comes under plagiarism. Okay, because avoiding plagiarism cannot happen only by citing the source, no, but you have copying the content and you have not you have just mentioned the source of it, and you think that plagiarism is avoided. No, it's not. Somebody asked in the question also, if you're copying your own content, definitely it's your own content, but even if you're copying it, it can lead to plagiarism, because any published material but not given due acknowledgement can lead to plagiarism. Okay, third is if you substitute just couple of words, because I have seen that, okay fine, we have changed the couple of words and then I cite the source. No, you need to rephrase it. Okay, Mr. Mishra, the word count for an abstract generally goes for 500. However, wherever you are submitting your abstract, they also gives you a word count, that how many words should be there in your abstract. Okay, so all these ways can actually contribute towards the plagiarism. Now let's have a look on the types of plagiarism. First is deliberate plagiarism. Okay, fine. You just copying it and you're not citing it. So you know it, you're copying it, but you're not citing it. It's deliberate one. It's a very common one. Patchwork is couple of words here, couple of words here, putting them together. No, if you're not rephrased it, definitely, because two lines here, two lines here, two lines here, you cannot even properly cite them. Okay, so that's another form of plagiarism. Then is bluffing, as in just randomly putting up any paraphrasing in it, randomly putting up the sources. That's also uh, plagiarism. And reading the books, reading the journals, and just putting down the key ideas in the same language and rest you are changing, that also count as a plagiarism. Plagiarism basically can be avoided when you are doing paraphrasing, but that does not mean only few words. Generally, I have seen many researchers that says that, you know I've just changes the few words, it should not be plagiarism, it should not come under plagiarism. Basically, paraphrasing involves the structural change of the sentence in terms of language, not the meaning of it. Okay, again I'm saying, if you want to avoid plagiarism, paraphrase and rephrase is the key. However, that does not only mean that you just substituted couple of words, but it means changing the language but not the meaning. Okay? Okay. Now, another one is patchwork paraphrasing, as I told you. So, some keywords you are here talking about here, putting them together and just changing couple of words. That's also paraphrasing. Mosaic plagiarism is basically when you are using the synonym. You're keeping everything you're keeping everything same. You're just using the synonym of couple of words. Then also it comes into plagiarism. Okay. Now comes proofreading. It's very, very, very important before you share your work with any journal or any publication platform to share. Proofreading basically makes your paper error free, be it your grammatical aspect, be it your spelling aspect, be it any inconsistency in the writing section. Like, what happened is that no, recommendation puja does not come in abstract. What happened is, when you are writing, many of you may not have that good command over writing a language in terms of a sentence. So you do not know where to put the connectors rightly, you do not know mainly where to connect the paragraphs. So in that case, proofreading comes as a savior, actually. Okay, so whether you have done right kind of editing in terms of your citations, your word connectors are there, your language makes sense, because according to you, whatever you have write is absolutely fine, but it should make sense. The English should give a meaning to me. Okay, all right, so all this can be taken care of the proofreading. Even somewhere I've seen one paragraph has a single line spacing, another paragraph is 1.5 line spacing. That also, your structural alignment also makes a very difference. See, it's very simple. No matter how good, how good dish you have cooked, but if it's not presentable, if it's not served nicely, half of your interest goes, right? So all these things needs to be taken care of. That's why proofreading is very, very important, because it also shows that how important the research paper is for the author, how dedicatedly the author has worked on the research paper, and rather each aspect of it. Okay, now this is about the review for the work. And once your paper is done, so send it to for the fellow researcher, your supervisor, or for the editor of the journal for what kind of review they have to share it with you. And make sure that different researchers have different research acumen, that's important. But if your comments which you are getting, you think that it does make sense and it will enhance the quality of a paper, go ahead with it. Micheline, a research graduate, can actually do the proofread for you. You can get it done from the from research graduate. Okay, now get ready for the publications. Paper is set, proofreading is done, editing is done, comments are incorporated. Let's get started. Okay, so whosoever you are approaching the journals, make sure that whatever the journal submission guidelines are there, you follow them, you make it journal ready, and then you are all set to publish the paper. Okay, so that's all for my side. And now we are open for the question and answer, right? So, yes, now I'll take your questions. What is the minimum and the maximum number of articles to include? Depends upon what kind of paper you're writing, Miss Talia. Hiring someone else to write a paper is plagiarism? No, unless and until the person whom you have hired, they are paraphrasing it, citing the proper sources, not copying the exact language, and so on. How to go about doing pilot service for pilot study for survey? You need to talk about the respondents, how many number of respondents you need to go over. That's a way. That's the process to follow. uh, we have conducted this particular webinar, Ms. Nina, that particularly how you can go for a systematic literature review or meta-analysis for a paper. You can go ahead with that. I would appreciate if you all of you can ask the question related to the present webinar, because many of the webinar, like somebody asked me for the Prisma one, we have conducted that also. Somebody is asking for the literature meta-analysis, we have conducted. So I'll appreciate if you can ask me the question related to the current webinar. Thank you so much, Mr. Hassan. Thank you so much. Miss Pooja, that's a question universally, which gives goosebumps to many of the researchers. That is exactly research methods to go ahead, and rest we will take care of. That's a question. That's a question. Which whether you want to identify the relationship between variables, whether you want to identify the influence of variables, that depends upon that. Now, when it comes to what is the minimum number of pages of the research paper, depends again. For example, if you're writing a review paper, that generally goes on a lengthier side, rather a quantitative paper. Okay, and also if you're submitting for a research paper for a journal, they gives you a word count. However, in my opinion, 8 to 10 to 12 pages is a good paper to go ahead with. How to find a good journals, that depends upon your topic of the study, and always go for the listed journals. Results and discussion, definitely, Mrs. Suhas, can be clubbed into one. Can be clubbed into one. Let's say, for example, if the word count of your research journal for which you are considering your submission is, they want you to write a very crisp paper. They don't have given a very lengthy word count for you. In that case, results and discussion can be clubbed. Like introduction and background can be clubbed. They can be clubbed. It's okay, fine. What I have discussed with you, that if you have very separate sections in the paper, then what you write, but you can club it, definitely. Definitely, Miss Mamta, a research graduate, can help you with that. Definitely, definitely. I Miss Dr. Tripathi, see, research paper, a research article. This is the term which if you ask that what is the difference between them, I think there are very quite overlapping terms, and many places people use research paper. Many places people use research article. However, research article is, in my opinion or in my experience, what I've seen is generally is of the length is smaller than the research paper, right? And how to use general word counts for scientific paper in physics, Mr. Rasik, again I told you that which journal you are focusing on, that depends upon. Okay, that's, thank you, Micheline, thank you so much, thank you so much. Miss Fatima, I told you that how to avoid plagiarism. I've told you the ways. In fact, we have conducted a webinar in the past dedicatedly for the plagiarism only. Yeah. Okay, okay. There are a couple of lists also available for the UGC Care listed journal. You can find the latest list on the website of UGC only. That would be better. Mr. Chauhan, if it's a latest update that they say that you are not supposed to publish, I am not the right person to comment on it. Honestly speaking, I'm not the right person on the to comment on it. Yeah. There are, Mr. Ramados, there are a couple of software available to keep on proofreading. However, I said, in my opinion, a proofreading done by a human actually, goes, if you are going for a good place, line by line, they can check, and that's suggestive. Somebody asked me about the fabrication and research method. Fabrication means when you are making up the data, like, let's say five respondents says yes, you automatically said, oh, okay, fine, next five will also say yes. So when you are making up the data, that's called fabrication. Yes, Mr. Sohail, you can do that. Thank you so much, Fatima. Thank you so much, Dr. Tripathi. Thank you so much, Aditi. Thank you so much. Yes, Mr. Ahmed, can we cite our paper if the set of paper are from the same methodology? Yes, you can, but it's important to cite the paper. Yes, there are a couple of software available, Mr. Pankaj. In the webinar related to plagiarism, I did mention all of them, majority of them, if not all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Vijaya. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think today's Miss Aditi, you have good journals need good quality of writing. So how to improve your writing? How to improve it? See, when it comes to vocabulary and writing style, one suggestion which does not fail is reading. When you are reading good papers, automatically their writing style reflects in your and your vocabulary. I understand research vocabulary is something different what we use in our normal lives. Reading good papers, good books definitely adds into your research vocabulary. Definitely. On the ground of ethics, my university is not allowed to have any sort of help from outside, and my guide is too busy. Should I still take from get ready to? Miss Pooja, that's a very question which you put me into dilemma that no university will ever tell you to take a help from outside. No university will ever tell you. First of all, I would suggest you to get in touch with your supervisor, and every guide is too busy, or every guide is too busy. It's just that you being a researcher needs to sit on their head sometimes. But you need to present your work in time to them. They will definitely help. They definitely helps. Thank you, Professor Vishali. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Ramprasad. Thank you so much. Ma'am, can you help me in checking plagiarism of my thesis? Yes, Miss Shaida, research graduate, definitely can help you. Definitely. Okay, Dr. Tripathi wants to know about myself. Okay, so myself, Dr. Renu, and I am currently located in Dubai, and I'm teaching here in Dubai, and my teaching experience is around 10 to 12 years. I did my PhD from Jamia Hamdard. The ones who are in Delhi, they must be knowing about this university. And apart from teaching, I'm also associated in the capacity of trainer. So I deliver the freelance training sessions for the research people like you and the corporate people as well. So I'm associated in a couple of assignments for the teaching also in Dubai, as well as I do online teaching in India as well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ms. Chauhan has a question: where can we get research paper to see as a help as a guideline? A lot of research papers are available, Mr. Chauhan. A lot of them. See, it is rather indeed you have raised a very good point that if you are finding it any difficulty in writing a paper, choose a good paper and follow the structure of that paper. It's very nice. It's a good point. Suggest good compilation of research papers. See, it depends upon, there are a couple of journals which are like, for example, Journal of Education, there are Journal of Business Management, which gives you a compiled number of papers related to one series of topic, or because many journals they have dedicated theme for their publication series. You can follow that. Yes, quantitative and qualitative can be done in methodology that is called as mixed method. Mr. Umesh, is it compulsory to include mathematical equation? If you are following a particular formula or if you're following a particular equation, it is an important thing. It is an important one. So as to tell your reader on which basis you did your calculation. Thank you, Fatima. So we are alumni of same university. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Prem. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And if anybody of you, thank you so much, Ms. Shahida. Thank you so much. Can we follow more than one methodology? Yes. See, Ms. Jahan, actually, that's called as triangulation, wherein you choose more than one methodology to follow to reach out to the objectives of, let's say, for example, you have two to three objectives. So, one objective can be attained by one methodology, another can be another methodology. That is called as triangulation. You can do that. Is there any compulsory? No, no, no. There is no particularly figure number compulsion. Is there? In fact, in my knowledge, I don't know that. How to find authentication of good? See, let's say for example, you're going for Scopus, so you always keep a check on whether these journals are listed on their website or not. Thank you, Ms. Rika. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Reba. Thank you, Reba. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. It was always a lovely interacting with you, and I, in fact, now with after so many series of webinars, I think I know a couple of people by their names, and I recognize them, and feel really great to interact with them again. And I look forward. So we have planned a couple of webinars in future as well. So I look forward to have all of you on those series as well. Okay, so Mr. Pawan has a question. I'm from corporate industry. I'm from corporate. It's okay. Needless to say, industry. I'm from corporate. It would be easy for a person like me if you can develop a course on writing a research paper in detail, like 30 to 40 online course. Okay, you'd like to, that's a good suggestion. We can work on it. Mr. Pawan, definitely, definitely. Our acknowledgement really needed. No, no, Mr. Suhas, not at all. Thank you so much, Mr. Pankaj. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, so how to present a webinar? Definitely. One tip I can give you right now only that be communicative, be expressive. I have seen many people who have many things here, but they are not able to speak it out. So people or the reviewer or the examiner which comes, they generally do not focus much on the slides which you are presenting, but the way you are expressing, the way you are sorting out the queries, the way you are defending the question raised by them. So please be communicative, please be expressive. Okay, Mr. Umesh, we have conducted this webinar as well, that how to go with the research gap and limitation. I think the queries which all of you are giving, like I can, we can do one thing, we can start that series of webinars once again, and I'll talk with my team so that we can have those series once back. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, sure, sure, Mr. Chauhan, that we can interact with each other. Probably we can choose some other platform to conduct the webinar so that we can have a live interaction where you also can contribute verbally. How to write research project on a thesis. See, a project can be converted into a thesis, definitely, because a project is an elaborated one. A thesis is somewhere around to 200 and 250 pages. You can, now there is, depends upon what kind of project you are working on. Definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Can we use any paper as a sample for our thesis proposal to apply for? No, no, only one paper, no, for a entire PhD thesis, no. See, research questions are those questions which gives direction to your study. What actually you are looking for. Hypotheses are the assumptions which you establish between variables. Whether they'll be true or not, that you find out from your research. Okay. Okay. Aditi, actually, we have conducted a research webinar in the past that was completely on the review paper. Basically, review paper allows you to synthesize the review literature which is done in the past, in which you give your own interpretations as well. Okay. Mr. Srinivas, how many objectives are to be framed for research paper projected? See, sir, generally, I think ideal number for me is three, but when it comes to PhD, three to five also I have seen, because having more or a series of research objective does not makes your work a good work. You are basically elongating your work. So an ideal number of two to three is good for the research paper. Three, I think, is an ideal one. When it comes to research thesis for a PhD, five would do justice. Thank you so much, Mr. Pankaj. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Review paper, as I told you, Aditi, it's about reviewing the previous literature and synthesizing that information and interpreting in your own words. What did you understand? Yes, Ahmed, you can cite your own work provided you paraphrase it. Miss Fatima, there are a couple of formulas available to calculate the sample size. There are a couple of formulas. You can follow either of them. No, Mr. Srinivas, each objective does not need a separate chapter. No, 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 no. See, likewise, if you have five objectives, so you'll have five separate chapter. No, you explain them when you're talking about research methodology, result discussion. So you club them all in one. Yeah, each need not to have a separate chapter, but each objective will have the variables. So each variable will be discussed in the literature review chapter. That would be done. Yeah. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so very much. It was a lovely interaction with all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Kiru Beniti. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's my pleasure to interact with. I don't take it as a learning from my side. I think it's a two-way learning. Something I'm learning from you. Something I'm able to make you learn. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. So I look forward for your attendance in the next series of webinars also, and we'll plan that if we can, start the initial series of webinars. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Dr. Tripathi, you can reach me out on the email of research graduate. We can definitely have a discussion further ahead. Yeah, Miss Micheline, you will be getting notified for all the future webinars which we are having. So I'm sure all of you must be getting, if not WhatsApp, you must be getting email with which you register. So every detail, every webinar information will be given to you. Thank you so much for asking. Thank you. Yes, you will get the PPTs, you will get the recording, Arjun. Definitely, you'll get it. Thank you, Aditi. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Smita. Thank you so much. Okay, interpretation of various data, definitely we look forward. However, you know what, when it comes to interpretation of data, basically people choose to talk about choosing different way of analyzing it. They choose pie charts, graph, histograms, and also. But we'll keep a note on this. Yes, Mr. Guru Prasad, you'll be getting the recording of this webinar. Definitely, you'll be getting the recording. Everything, your PPTs, your recordings, your certificates, everything you'll be getting on your the registered email ID with which you have registered for the webinar. Everything will be there. So, needless to worry about it. Even if you have missed out something due to some technical glitches, everything will be sorted. Miss Talia, basically, if you are writing a research paper, I would suggest that, specifying a particular number of 25 to 30 for literature review is good to go. If it is completely a review paper, then you may enhance the number because many a times we keep on stretching writing literature. So if you are sure that you have ascertained the important information in your literature, you can restrict down yourself. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Shahida. We will keep a check on it. Definitely. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Krishna. See, there are a couple of journals listed in review Scopus, which they take care of review paper as well. Yes, Ms. Fatima, you can reach me out on research graduate email ID. Definitely. You need to get in touch with the research graduate WhatsApp number, Rekha, so that you can ask that what is the procedure to get the certificate if you have not registered. So the our team would help you out. Okay. Yeah, Mr. Pavan, you can reach me out on research graduate email ID. So you can post out the questions over there. Okay. Thank you so much, Hassan. Thank you so much. So now it's time to call for this webinar, and let's look ahead to meet in the next series. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.